Not everything worth negotiating has a dollar sign in front of it. Influence, equity, strategic power. These are the real levers that shape executive careers, and they're rarely handed out. They're earned, noticed, or negotiated for quietly and intentionally. Let me know if you've ever taken a role and later found out there were resources, equity, or access you could have asked for but didn't know you could. You can do that in the comments. You can send me a DM, but let me know. Today, I'm sharing how to recognize and claim the rewards that don't show up in job descriptions, but define your trajectory. When we think about career advancement, most people default to salary and title. But the highest earning, most influential executives I coach, they've learned to think in leverage, access, and strategic equity. I don't actually mean the cash equity, I mean strategic equity, the unspoken rewards. Hidden offers, decision-making access, inclusion in rooms, not just meetings, discretionary budget and headcount, board-level visibility, ownership of strategy, not just execution. That's what we're talking about here. The hidden rewards. A client of mine turned down a VP title to keep a director title because that director title had a dotted line to the CEO and full control over a new product launch. 2 years later, she walked into her next role with board experience and a 7-figure exit. And some of that cash equity. And by the way, cash equity is a strategic thing most people don't really think about negotiating. So while we're talking about non-monetary today, that equity play is huge. And if you know my story, you know that I know what I'm talking about there. It is huge. And if you don't have anyone in your life who can help advise you on those equity conversations, those cash equity conversations, then we need to talk, because I never want anyone else to be in the position I was in and not know what to ask for. So let's talk about the 5 shifts to secure strategic rewards. The first one is to define power on your terms. What kind of influence access actually matters for your long game? Do you want to take a hit on cash compensation for equity because that has the potential upside to drive major goals for yourself? What kind of influence or access really does matter for your long game? The second shift is to learn to see the unspoken, decode what's not in the offer letter. Budget autonomy, strategic projects, political capital. The third shift is to make the invisible ask. Use language like, what's the budget authority attached to this role? What would be required to have a voice in that steering committee? Ask about board exposure, reporting directly into the board. The fourth shift is to link your ask to business value. Frame it as helping the organization succeed, not personal benefit. We always say that, even in my job search coaching program, what's in it for them? Everything we say, everything we ask is about them, even if we are asking the thing to get intel to help us drive the interview process to an offer. Well, same thing is true here. When we're talking about executive long game planning, you want to frame your asks as helping the organization succeed. With strategic input early, I can ensure this launch avoids the rework that cost us $2 million last year. The fifth shift is to build leverage over time. Start asking before the offer, in one-on-ones, during performance reviews, but don't wait for the performance reviews. After big wins. And one of the ways you can prep for that is have a cadence where you update your LinkedIn profile. Theoretically, that's about your external brand. But if at a minimum every quarter, you look at your wins and you update your experience section for the current role, that's a process that, yes, is good for your external brand, but the discipline of doing that will help you stay on top of what you've accomplished so you can have consistent conversations in one-on-ones. Which of these 5 shifts feels like a new lens for you? Define power on your own terms, learn to see the unspoken, make the invisible ask, link your ask to business value, build leverage over time. I want you to go ahead, as I always do. I hope you're taking notes. Write down which feels like a new lens. Which one of those? And then write out what you're going to do with that. And if you would, let me know so I can support you. You now have the lens and the language, but if you want support applying this to your next opportunity or your next negotiation, this is where I come in. I help high IQ, neurodivergent executives play the long game, not just land roles, but build strategic careers. If you're ready to lead with leverage, not just performance, drop a power in the comments, DM me. I'll send you the link to book a one-on-one clarity call. And as always, my ask, share this with someone who's flying under the radar, an executive or a future one who needs to stop being the best kept secret in the room. Their next opportunity might depend on it.